Hello and welcome to the CSC podcast, specifically CS Conversations, a bit of a throwback to when it was a simpler time and there was simply one podcast and it was audio only. My name is Fuffy and I am joined by my co-host TNoodle. How's it going, TNoodle?
Oh man, just living the dream. We're bringing the podcast back, bringing it all the way back when we had Max, when Oma was doing the podcast. It's really good to
Yeah.
bring this back alive here.
The vibe that I wanted to bring with this one was more conversational and less so about like whatever is currently going on, who the best team in CSC is or whatever, and just like getting to dive into specific topics or learn about specific people. Speaking of which, the specific theme for today is season 15 and our wonderful new admin team. And we have brought on Rye and Homer to chat with us a little bit. Rye, we'll start with you. How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah, I'm happy to be a badman.
Oh yeah. This is a complete all badman or former badman podcast.
Oh, that is true.
Oh yeah.
Just kind of crazy. Um Homer, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Just closed the Arbiter and RC player rep election voting early, so that feels great. Doing great. Definitely not panicking.
It's like an hour early.
Yeah.
45 minutes.
Yeah. And as we were saying before that we started recording, lots of people forget to vote anyways.
Yeah, I was
you
just
know.
glad that it wasn't super close when I looked at the results.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, Homer was very diligent and was like checking out how many people voted in the last day. It was like, okay, well, it wasn't that many. No one was going to vote in the last hour anyway.
Yeah. I
It's
feel
not a
like
big deal.
voting's so interesting, and we've technically changed systems.
Yep.
I feel like this would be an episode that we need Firehawk on, because Amy, she could talk for hours about voting systems.
Oh, she
Yeah,
loves
I
those
mean,
voting systems.
She's the one who sent the site that I used for the results.
Yeah,
It's super nice to use, so
it's so nice. I actually love seeing results like that. Now, as much as I'd love to talk about voting systems all day, I wanna start by sort of circling back to the the question of why, and that is, why did each of you run for admin? Rye, why would you do such a thing?
I would be remiss if I wasn't like secretly hoping to come in about fifth, but I got fourth and got elected for a term.
Dang, you wanted the ego boost of people voting for you without
Yeah,
actually getting in.
just like a mild, like, yeah, she's kind of popular. But
Yeah.
rip.
Turns out
Um,
people like you.
well, the being an admin, I'll change that pretty soon. Um, yeah, when admin elections came around, um, I was thinking back to things that had happened in previous seasons, things like cheating scandals and um, just, all the big stuff that comes up. I felt like I could make good decisions in you know, the, those challenging times. And I really like the lead. It's
Mhm.
a really cool thing. It's an important part of my life. So it's like a little way to give back.
Yeah, I feel like if there's anything that brings us all together, and I mean, the reason why everyone eventually goes into these sort of elevated positions is that they just love the league so much and they love CSC
Yeah.
so much.
And I think that that's like a really important thing to protect and preserve. Like we're all volunteers. Everybody's doing this because the lead means something to them and they want it to be better. Um, and that that's something that I'm very cognizant of in everything that we're doing on the admin team is just trying to like make sure that we're making good use of volunteer time. We're not doing things that are going to cause strife and burnout. And just being really protective of that energy that everybody's putting in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing because I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, this league means a lot to a lot of us, and there's difficult things that happen. But at the end of the day, everyone who's volunteering and pretty much everyone in this league, they're all just they ultimately just want to see the league succeed and want to see the players coming in, the players that are here, everyone be happy.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's really important to help the burnout be a little bit
Yeah.
less for a lot of us that have gone through it at one point or another.
I feel like that's a relatable issue for everybody who's done anything volunteer in any capacity.
Yeah.
Homer, you've done a ton of volunteer stuff, but now you've
Yep.
shifted away from the numbers side of things into this admin role. Why did you decide to make that shift?
I think generally similar to what Rye was saying. Um, I before I decided to run for admin, I was done with numbers. Like I was ready to quit with that. So that kind
Yeah.
of pushed me. I still had time. I just was done with numbers. I had it set up for success. Now Freeman's running it now, and I think it'll continue to get better. And I think if I didn't run for admin, I wouldn't have ever had a chance again because I wouldn't have done anything else in the league. So,
Mm-hmm.
and on top of that, everything that's happened last season, having 4 open spots, we thought at the time it was 5, definitely wanted like some stability from admins. And I've worked with admins for 2.5 years now directly. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I just felt like I felt like the pool of candidates needed as many people with experience as possible.
Mm.
Yeah. You've definitely got that experience. It yeah, it has been many years. Oh gosh, I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
Speaking of many years, I want to bring up my favorite question that I wrote in the Google Doc that I started with TNoodle. How did it feel to lose to TNoodle in the CSC Season 5 major semifinals?
Oh my god. Don't make me relive that, dude.
Oh gosh.
Dude, he just needed to defuse, man. That's all.
No.
Yeah, that's traumatic still.
Yeah.
I won't ever live that down. Honestly though, like if we were gonna lose, that was the team that we were gonna lose to anyways. So it was the game that we played in the regular season was close too. So with not having Wonder there to hard carry, it was like we felt like underdogs and we didn't have a ton of pressure on ourselves. But yeah.
Yeah. You know, I was like, we're
Everyone
not gonna.
talks about Team CS and hey, how great it'll be to, have a team that you're playing with all the time and
Yeah.
celebrate those wins. They don't talk about how traumatic the losses are.
They
Oh,
don't
yeah.
talk
it is.
about
It
how
is.
years later, some
Yeah.
asshole's gonna bring it up on a podcast.
Yeah. It's the only time I've lost as a full time. Like the 2 seasons before that, I won. So that was my
That's
3rd
true.
trophy, and it was stolen from me.
Oh.
And you've even won other
won as a
playoffs
sub, too.
games.
He won as a sub.
Yeah, you've won finals.
In season
Yeah.
7. Yeah, I
Oh my
casted
gosh.
that. That was great. That was a good time.
Yeah. Another hard carry.
Yeah, I know I said at the beginning of this, we're not just going to talk about like which teams did what or how good they were, but we're only going to talk about things that were years ago, for like season 10 or before.
Hearing that and hearing season 10 and years ago sounds so
no,
wrong.
that feels wrong.
That was the beginning of 23.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't
That
talk
is
about it
almost
like
2 years
that.
ago
It
now.
was just 2019.
Oh gosh.
Anyways, I speaking of going back in time, I wanna ask Rye about your past experience with CSC and sort
Mhm.
of what that's been like. I mean, you mentioned, falling in love with the league is basically everyone seems to have done, besides certain people that we don't want in the league. But how I don't know. Like, I haven't chatted with you a ton. So what
Yeah.
was that journey like? I mean, I guess first of all, how'd you even find this place?
Um, I honestly don't remember. It could have been a Reddit post.
Okay.
Um, but I joined season 9 and um I played CS since like 2017 CS:GO. Um and uh, played when my kids were growing up. They kind of moved on to different games, but I just kind of loved CS:GO. Um, and had a good group that I played with during the pandemic. Um, and found myself wanting like a little bit broader of a community and more people to play with and hey, like a casual competitive league, that sounds great. I'm adult. I'm not going to be a pro gamer. Like that sounds right up my alley. So I joined. My son played the first season or two. He's still
Mhm.
around as a PFA and plays every so often. Oof, in contender. Um, so yeah, like that's kind of my intro story to the league. TNoodle actually cut me my first season.
Yes, I did. I knew that. I knew that was gonna
Oh
come up, and
no.
I was like, "Oh man!" I'm like,
It's, that the totally valid first season cut of I don't know what I'm doing in teams-based CS,
yeah,
and, it I think it took me probably 3 seasons
yeah. You took a
before
hiatus for a bit. Um,
yeah, like I, um my first season after the cut, I got into media
mhm.
and, did some observing,
Woo.
um and with the tech folks a little. Um, and then Triple Man picked me up over in AP, and I played there for a bit, AGM'd, then took a season off, like switching jobs, and I was going to be busy, so uh, I did the PFA thing for a season. That was really nice. Then moved over to ABW, where I AGM'd again.
Yeah. It's it's always interesting to know people's stories and to know how many people, one, how many people get cut and leave, but then two, how many people get cut and stay around, and it's
Mhm.
like a formative part of their experience. And it just sort of happens. It's like, yeah, not everyone can stick to a team, but the people that stick around through that, I feel like, are the most dedicated.
Yeah. One of the things that we've talked about on the admin side is we already put out a post for, hey, here's how you get involved with the media team. We're going to double that up again right around like preseason 2, when teams have to cut down rosters.
Mhm.
Just to give another avenue for people that have that common experience of not making a team right out of the gate. Yeah, another avenue to stay involved and have that same kind of entry path to the community.
Yeah. What Homer, I'm much more familiar with your player journey, but as far as like staff, what I refresh my mind and the minds of our listeners on what all different spots you've been through.
I've only staff wise, I've only done numbers.
Okay,
Uh,
because it felt like there would be something more in there, but I'm like, I can't think of anything.
yeah, I played. I left the Discord. I came back. So I was gone for season 6. I came back for season 7 and PFA'd, and then the numbers committee became a thing, and I joined that because I am a data scientist.
Mm-hmm.
And after season 8, I took over as Numbers Head, and that's literally all I've done since then.
2 years of
Yep.
numbers head. That's a lot of numbers.
Is that the longest standing staff position?
What about Night Fury?
Yeah,
Ooh.
Steph and Yeti
Well,
have to be longer.
Yeah.
That's true, actually. Steph would, because Raptor was gone. It still
Oh,
feels like Raptor should have been Tech Head, but no, Raptor's been
yeah.
gone for us.
So it would be Yeti, the Night Fury, and yeah, I guess Homer.
Okay, yeah. Dang, these committees be consistent.
Yeah.
Let's look more towards the future now. I don't want to just keep interrogating you all on every team that you played on, even though that would also be fun. Okay, actually, let me make a pitch. We do the full history of a player, and we get that player on, and we go through everything that they've done in CSC. Sound like an interesting podcast episode?
Interesting is
Yeah.
a great word for it. It could be great. it could be
Thanks,
bad.
buddy.
You got to find someone
This
who's
is why
actually
you
like,
weren't media head,
played
all right?
like
No,
for
just
that whole
kidding.
time, and that is really hard to find someone who has played a lot of seasons and who has actually bounced around a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Okay, but
you could go to Andrew, who's been there since the
Andrew
beginning.
would, yeah. I feel like
But-
Deluxe.
But Deluxe, it's like he played like 3 seasons, and then it's just gonna be UPS for like 3 years.
Okay, that's
Like,
true.
it's-
Actually, that is the problem with Deluxe. But I think
So-
doesn't Deluxe have all-time kill record in CSC?
He got it like I want to say 2 or 3 seasons ago, something like that.
Yeah,
So
that's insane.
and he's only missed like 1 or 2 match days, which is like crazy in that time frame.
Okay, so anybody can answer this. What's the vibe like in the new admin team?
Me and Chobits being crackheads, and then Rye like being a level-headed, comes in later and is like, "Yep, this is good," or "Nope, this is dumb." And
That's
Yeah.
generally my contribution. Yeah. It is very positive vibes. Like we are a really positive group. There isn't a lot of conflict. When there's disagreements about I would vote this way, I would vote this way. Like it's all very level-headed and rational, and I think everybody is a good listener and good communicator.
Mhm.
It's been a great group to work with. I want to shout out the departing admin team as well. The 4 spots that uh, didn't stay on. They have been amazing at doing knowledge transfer, setting up meetings, and giving us access to things, and talking over their process. That
Mhm.
it made for a smooth handoff that it would just be impossible to walk in blind as an admin. That there's so much going on.
yeah, we would have been so lost if they didn't. They're sticking around. Like, we can ask them questions whenever. Otherwise, we would have been very lost for sure. It's helped a lot. Just the, stuff from my POV from Numbers Head. I could tell how much an admin contributed based on how different my experience is each season. So when one admin leaves, if they were doing a lot of work, stuff wasn't written down, and so the knowledge transfer didn't happen, and so stuff got missed. So the last admin team focusing on trying to get like a handbook written out for admins and having everything documented is super
Yeah.
important
Mhm.
and super useful. I'm
Yeah.
super grateful that they're sticking around to at least help us
Mhm.
add to that.
That was a season 7 draft issue where we literally did not know how the draft functioned.
Yeah.
And it was Spence and I having to do it. I think it was 7. It might have been the start of 8. but literally Spence and I having to do the whole thing, and we didn't know like what was on us and what was on TMs, and figuring that all out. And like partway through one of the drafts, it was like, somebody needs to be doing this part of the sheet, and it's just like, well,
Yeah.
glad somebody wrote that down.
See, that was
Yeah.
definitely a 7 thing, because season 8, when I was admin, I had a way different experience. And I felt much worse because I was GMing at that time. That was the last season GMs were allowed to admin. And
You're
I was
welcome.
having to draft while also run the draft sheet. So,
No.
so I was like, oh my God, what's going on? Because I'm not so like, as a GM, I had a real difficult time being hands up. I had to do pretty much everything. I was really anal about all that stuff. But I mean, what you guys are saying, I mean, I think the league has seen it. This is the smoothest knowledge transfer from one admin team to another that I've seen from an outside perspective. And I really think that whole extra week or extra 2 weeks that they did to start the election earlier helped a lot.
Definitely.
Definitely, yes.
I know for the
100%.
longest time I was pushing to at least like start the schedule from the current admin team does the next season's schedule, at least the off-season
Yeah.
schedule. That's how I always felt like it
That
should be done. But I
that's been
never
super helpful.
I
Yeah.
never thought about bringing the election up, and that was just really a brilliant move. I'm not sure if it was the admins or Rose Committee with admins, but that was just a great move by the volunteers altogether, and I think that really set you guys up with a running
Yeah.
start.
Combine starts Saturday, and it seems ridiculously close, and like this off season has just gone by in a blink.
Mhm.
I can't imagine if we had come in a week later trying to do all the things before the start of season 15.
Yeah.
And so I mean, you guys touched on it a little bit, like, well, specifically Homer, when you're talking about like how you could see who was active, but um, how do you guys think like your perspective from an admin day to day has changed from when you were just a volunteer, a staff member outside, to getting access to the 54 extra channels that you have and seeing like all the duties you have that the last team has let you know about?
I've definitely been surprised at the number of channels, the just scope of everything. Um, it it seems like a smaller league when you're a player, and it grows a little bit when you're uh, it, on a committee or an AGM. But like admin is definitely its own beast where there is so much going on, and it's just impossible to really um, keep super closely involved in everything. Like you really have to rely on committee heads and um, that pings will happen when stuff needs your attention because it's a ridiculously overwhelming amount of channels that you could never actually watch.
It's true. There's so many, and there's got to be more now. Oh,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah,
gosh.
I don't know the number. I don't know how to find the number, but there's a lot, and there's a ton of tickets. Obviously, staff tickets, mod tickets, numbers tickets. It's like overwhelming for sure.
Yeah,
Whatever the
like
Discord limit is, that's what we're at. So.
days 1 and 2 were messages like, "Hey, I figured out Control T will search channels, and here are the keyboard shortcut binds for going back from one channel to another because you're referencing tickets." Spreadsheets for tracking all of the SSD posts.
Mhm.
It takes a lot of coordination.
Oh,
Yeah.
I believe it. I barely knew how to use Google Forms at the time. I was just there like, Fuffy, I'm like, how do you work this thing?
Yeah.
And there was one point when, because like I didn't do a lot of Discord stuff because I knew I didn't know how to do a lot of Discord stuff. And if you ever messed with Faceit hubs, it's very very
Oh
similar.
gosh.
And there was one moment that something happened with the Faceit hub. I was like, okay, no one else is here. I'll figure it out. I ended up deleting the queue on the 10-man up. So 10-mans are dead for about like 12 hours.
Oh no, poor Big Z. You know,
Yeah, poor Big Z.
you mentioned serious suggestions and like having a spreadsheet. How has it been trying to have like a unified response to that? What does the process look like from getting a suggestion to talking
Yeah.
about it to giving an answer?
So we had a whole bunch of SSDs that had exceeded like the threshold of 30 thumbs up that we said, hey, admins will respond to these. So we just kind of collected those and had individual threads for each for how does everyone feel about this? Just kind of like getting a general vibe check of is this something you're for or against, or what's everyone thinking? Um,
Mm-hmm.
After uh, we kind of coalesced around those and formed a unified opinion, someone would write up a response for it, get some thumbs up, and publish it out. Uh, we actually burned through, I don't know, 40 SSD responses in the first few days. We've been rationing them out because there's just so many responses that
Yeah, that'd be
uh,
overwhelming to just paste every
yeah.
response at
Yeah,
once.
I could barely read like the 4 or 5 that popped out. I was like, this is too much right now.
Yeah, Fleeb hit the character limit, just responding to the first 8, so we sent that. But also, yeah, obviously, if we sent like all 45 or whatever in one night, it would have been
No one's gonna read it
ridiculous.
all.
Nobody's gonna
I
read
ain't
it.
reading all
So.
that. I'm happy for you, or I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah.
All right. Let me change different direction. I want to ask both of you what your favorite CSC moment was. This could be a moment that you were a part of, a moment that you watched. It could be Ant Lion's mom walking in during the draft.
Oh, I loved that one.
I
That
just
was
had
one
to
of my
bring that
favorite
one up
moment
because
for a
it's one of
while.
my favorites.
That was so funny.
Are you on a date?
Are you on an internet date? No.
That was so wholesome.
That
That
was
was
so
so
great.
good.
He was dressed up, looking fly. You gotta
Yeah.
look fly for the
Fun,
draft.
fun fact: Ant Lion was also drafted with Rye to UPS that same offseason,
Yeah.
Oh,
and they were both cut together.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
Well, now I don't feel nearly as bad about getting cut.
there you go.
Antline is a player.
yeah, he's pretty good.
All right. Anybody got a favorite moment they can think of?
I'm trying to think. I've been around since 2020, dude. Like,
Yeah, you've got a lot of moments.
it's actually just about. I think I joined like the end of August 2020, so it's been a long time.
Wait, so were you here for season 1?
No, season 3 is when I joined. I played 3 through 5. and
Oh
then-
yeah, we were 5. Yeah,
Yeah, we
I
were
thought
5.
we were right at the beginning still, but no.
Yeah.
The one that pops into my head was season 13. I was on a really goated Abyss Walkers recruit
Ooh.
squad. Um, Shane and Milky and um, like 3 of us moved up out of recruit the next season. We were, I think, the number 2 team going into a game against Order of the Samurai, who was number 1. Um, and on overpass, comes down to the last round. Um, Melky's in this 1v3 clutch to get an ace for the round and win the game so we don't have to go to overtime. And like no scopes 2 of them. We all just yelled. It was like the happiest CSC game moment that I think I've ever had.
That the impossible clutches are always just so crazy. And at a moment like that, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's one of those that you got to take a timeout for because everyone's heart rate is just going way too high.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the walk-off win. That was the, like,
Oh,
let's show the
yeah.
scoreboard because you can go to bed.
Yeah.
Honestly, season 7, the finals that I subbed for
Mm-hmm.
was pretty fun. I subbed with that team once earlier in the season. Aber's a pilot, so he's
Yeah.
gone sometimes. So I subbed for him there. And I think the environment was just super like positive and hype in the game. And then on top of it, the cast for that final was super sick. Like the production level was super high. Watching that back was super fun. I can't
Very
remember
nice.
all of it, but yeah, that series was just fun in general. I'm gonna give myself my trophy for that one.
I need to go back. I'm trying to remember. I mean, I assume that would have been either Max and me. Or
I think that was you and
me.
Max. I was on the desk.
Max
for
was
that
definitely
one.
there.
I was on the
Okay.
desk. I just looked it up. I was on the desk with Supreme and Freeman.
Okay, then those, yeah, because I was like, me and Max did like every single game together that season.
I had my blue suit on.
Oh.
And we had the VMix desk.
Oh,
wow.
It was that desk.
With
it
the
was
like
that
3D
desk.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great time.
That really was a great time. Dang.
And yeah, you really fit in well with that squad, and I love A-Bear. I played a lane with him. That guy fist bumps way too hard. I did, like, at the end of the day, I'm like, dude, my fist kind of hurts right now, dude.
Damn.
Oh
yeah.
But yeah,
He's like Dexter, but they actually let him on planes.
There's just so many great moments in the league. I mean, mine was just it just was when we won. It's pretty simple as that. But then those moments,
cliche,
those moments that you happen like when everything is just going wrong. When like our first map, we were down like 12 to 7, and we're down in a 5v3, and I'm like, guys, what are we doing right now? And then all of a sudden we just bring it back, and this round by round, everyone's like keeping a level head and just finding a way to come together as a group and turn it around.
That's what
unite,
CSC is about.
And it's what it's what CSC is about.
I would say my win was my favorite memory, but I wasn't there. I was in a cabin in the woods and I checked my phone.
Oh.
And Scraps was like, yeah, you get the trophy emoji. This is how it's done in the past. And I'm like, I do? Let's go.
Like, for me? But
that's the other thing with that series. A-Bear, we didn't know if A-Bear would be back for map 2. He was driving home in LA traffic.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So he just had the finals on his phone while he was driving the whole time.
Just listening.
So he was hyped the entire time, just stuck in rush hour traffic.
And see, this is exactly why. So when I was casting, I was like, I want to cast as if someone's listening on the radio and they don't know exactly what's going on. So I want to make sure they know the score, they know the economy. And see that it was for A-Bear. That's who it's for this whole time. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about these special moments that we all have in this league. We've talked about what it means to volunteer, what we want it to mean to show appreciation towards the volunteers we have. But at the end of the day, how the league is, like, I want to know, like, what do you guys feel like this league means to you, and how do you hope that it resonates and means to other people? Like, what do you guys really believe that is at the core of this league, and what do you think the league is all about?
I'll let you go first, Homer.
Okay. That's a tough one to word.
It's a deep question.
I guess for me, so I joined season 3 from a Reddit post, and it was like at a time I I think I had played like 3 Faceit games when I joined, and hated it, solo queued them, hated every moment of it, hated playing MM. I was ready to quit playing CS, and CSC, you know, is very welcoming. It's very unlike the general
Yeah.
Counter-Strike community or any like online gaming community. It's very welcoming and inclusive, and it's just a much better environment than what you would expect online in online spaces. And I think that that's the most important thing. It's a great community that I want to continue to be a great community that I want as many people as possible to have like the moments that we're talking about that you remember for a very long time. And a lot of people have met friends in CSC. A lot of my online friends are from CSC or adjacent to CSC. So I think, yeah, that's the most important thing, is just like it's a community that a lot of people who wouldn't generally feel welcome if they were solo queuing on Faceit, you could feel a lot better in CSC than in those environments.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go with that one. Solo queue as a woman is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like solo queue CS is pretty hit or miss for everyone, but like you can't voice comm. Like it's a miserable experience. I I loved Counter-Strike pretty early. Like Counter-Strike the game, um, with 2-minute rounds, everything is super important and you have to focus on it, and then it's over and washed away and here's a new thing. Like my brain loves that. Um, and seeing like old pro Counter-Strike of Virtus Pro,
Mhm.
doing amazing trigger discipline moments. Like
Mhm.
I loved so much of Counter-Strike. And I would be so excited and go to play Counter-Strike and go in solo queue and be like, well, that was miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like you said, CSC is an amazing, wonderful, inclusive environment. It's a positive gaming experience. And it's a gaming experience that you get to, as a player, be a part of a team. You get to be casted. Uh, all these experiences that you really don't get unless you're at a pro level. We get to give that to players of all skill levels. That's so amazing. I love that so much.
Yeah, I mean I mean those moments you want to give that moment that you had, you want to give it to any player that comes into this league. You want to give them the opportunity to have their moment
Yeah.
and see what they do with that opportunity. And like I know when I came into the league, I came into the league off a Reddit post similar to you guys, and I joined with a friend. He didn't actually end up playing. I ended up getting drafted by my team. I was pretty sure I was going to get cut, and luckily wasn't. And then just found a good group of guys. And then when I became a GM, I know everyone like UPS. It's a super try hard, but ultimately, what I really wanted to do was give players that same experience I have. And the most important part of that experience was not just finding 5 good people, but you're trying to find 5 like people whose character and their personalities can match up. So like anyone can play a game together, but it's when things go rough in a best of 3, when things aren't going right outside of the game, like how can you uplift your teammates? How can you uplift your friends and get them to a point where they can go into those opportunities where they have a time to shine and can really make the most of that. And
Mhm.
I don't know. I just really love that part of that league. That's really what I love about the league.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wholesome. I feel like that's just the great thing about CSC and bringing a ton of people together. And it's also so great that when everyone that I talk to sort of has the same message, like no one can really agree whether we should have 3 keepers or 4 keepers or 5 keepers or whatever. And no one can really agree whether we should have 5 or 6 tiers or round robin groups or double elimination playoffs or whatever. But we all agree on that. And I mean, that's pretty awesome. Speaking of all of the crazy things that I just mentioned, since you both are admins and you're now leading the cabal, what are your future plans? What changes have you all discussed as a team that you're like, that seems like something that we'd want to implement, or even just something that you don't want to look at and you're not sure the direction you'll go yet?
The big thing that we put off till the longer off season that I wanted to happen while I was numbers head was the idea that I think Yeti posted it in serious suggestions about
longer
changing
off-season?
around the preseason schedule, like the combine schedule, so that transactions happen after combines are over entirely, so
Mhm.
that when we meet to lock in the number of teams and the tiers and the tier lines and all of that, we're not guessing, essentially. Like we have a ballpark, but the range that we deal with every season is really rough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it just, that would make that whole experience a lot more smooth. And I said it somewhere in one of the admin channels that for everybody who hasn't experienced that yet, you're going to be like in agreement with me after it, because it's a very stressful time, and the outcome that we come up with never feels good, but it's like
it Elite always gets shafted somehow.
Somehow it's always Elite, and we didn't
Yeah.
even think it was going to be a problem this last season. Like, yeah, yeah, that's something that I would like to do for
Mhm.
sure. That it's not like an easy flip a switch thing.
Yeah, I know Yeti's
Yeah,
been a big proponent of that. I was just gonna comment about how Yeti kept bumping the thread with pictures of a cat.
Yeah, that was good. That was very good.
The short off season between 14 and 15 really made it challenging to make any big changes. Fortunately, um, yeah, we're in a good position going into 15. Um, there's a lot of the lead structure that uh, has worked well for us so far, so it doesn't need a whole lot of big changes. Um, the thing that I ran on in my admin platform was, hey, if we could get tier list combines and, uh, maybe break down some of those tier barriers a little bit, get people playing uh, more combine games with people that are maybe just a little better, maybe just a little lower, and trying to bring those skill levels up, that could be a really great thing. Oh, we have no time at all to actually make that happen before season 15.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a thing that I'm hopeful that we can get ahead of and be ready for moving into season 16.
Seems so interesting because, I mean, I know that in the past, like sometimes combines would just break down into 10-mans at the end anyways. Where people are like, this tier has people that want to play, this tier has people that want to play, we got to just get games going. And I don't know, logically in my brain it makes sense to just, the extension of the Ellie Prem combination is to extend that further, but really that's on tech and numbers being able to separate out like
Yeah.
the info gotten from that to actually make it usable. And that's work that, I don't know anything about beyond the surface level of it. My job initially was to, as an admin, I wanted everything to be smoother, and I was like, I know there's a technical solution here, and I just handed Dibes everything, and Dibes made core a reality, and now we have our own bot and our own database and everything that is awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, times is something else.
Oh, for sure. How was it getting to see core and the back end of everything and all of the levers and buttons and things that make CSC work?
So I was in tech and
Mhm.
I think I've seen core at least
Yeah.
before this. So it wasn't too surprising.
Mhm.
I definitely knew of the functionality. Um, I think that the thing that I've been overwhelmed with on the tech side of being an admin is just the number of channels in Discord,
Yeah.
which is so many hundreds. The amount of Google Docs that we have on all the different things.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Where between Discord search history and Google Docs, like there's something documented for whatever you're working on, but it's a little challenging to find it. Um,
Yeah.
and all the little levers in core for like, okay, so if we want to start the combines queue, here is like the
Yeah.
things that you have to do in uh, Discord to do that. And when you close it down, it also needs like a tech clear queue command, and we have to um, restart a combine server. It's going to dat host. It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think both of you have gotten that behind the scenes look from your respective tech and numbers work of just sort of bits and pieces of it. But then once you're admin, you have access to every single bit and piece, but they're spread across the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's where documenting everything into a handbook for admins where it's all
Mhm.
centralized will be very useful. It'll be
Mhm.
so nice.
Yeah.
Because yeah, like Rai said, everything is kind of spread out and you can find it, but I
Yeah.
I need organization. Like I need everything right in my face so that I don't lose it because I get sidetracked very easily.
Mm-hmm. I know there's been sort of people have talked about a disconnect in the past between like admins and the player base. What is one thing sort of on the reverse of that now as admins in your sort of little bit of time in the position that you wish that just the average Joe of CSC knew?
So for me, I feel like I have already started talking less in CSC Discord. Like I'm busy and if I'm commenting on something, I don't always want it to come across as here is an official admin
Admin
Yeah.
response
response.
of me telling you that this is stupid.
Yeah.
Um and so I feel like it probably may start to come across as admins are out of touch, admins aren't engaged, and that's really not true. It's just there is so much going on, and um, yeah, I feel like I don't
Mm-hmm.
always get the opportunity to engage in chat the way that I did before the election.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing that uh I'm trying to focus on is like everybody once somebody's an admin, once they've been admin for a little bit, everybody thinks of them different as like this is
Mhm.
admin. This person's not the pre-admin version of them and I'm trying to make sure that everybody doesn't see me any differently. I've been, numbers head for a long time, so that's already a little bit out there,
Mm-hmm.
like a little bit disconnected. And through all of that, I've definitely had ups and downs of being active and not active. And
Mhm.
like being brand new to admin, I've been super active because everything's exciting and stuff. But yeah, I think the big thing is trying to make sure that everybody understands that any staff, not just admins, but any staff is trying to do the best they can for the league, the community. It takes a lot to just decide to volunteer. So I think sometimes, understandably, people get passionate about stuff because the league is super cool and people care about it a lot. But it also, I think sometimes people lose sight of the fact that everybody has the same goal in mind. And so I'm trying to hopefully make sure that people understand that and trying to come across as like not confrontational, trying to come across as like hearing out people's thoughts and trying to discuss and come to a reasonable conclusion on it instead of like arguing about stuff like, a lot of conversations devolve into.
Yeah.
And I think that'll get harder over time too as we make more decisions that are controversial. But I think we've done a good job so far, and I'm hoping to continue with that, I guess.
Yeah, we've had a bit of a honeymoon where, hey, it's a new admin team, yay.
The admin honeymoon period.
Yeah, as soon as we have to make the hard decisions, I'm sure that'll change and we'll become the badmans again.
The nature of the position is having to make a decision that some people will like and some people won't like.
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, I think you guys are just approaching this very different than I've seen in the past. Like, I mean, it is overwhelming, and it's okay to feel that way, and that's how a lot of admin teams come in. Like, it's overwhelming, but I think you guys, I mean, not just you as personality wise, but I also think, like you guys touched on, the previous admin team helping you transition to this, so it's not as overwhelming as it probably has been in the past, and you guys can just go right into the enthusiastic part of being an admin, where you get to do, like, you're not spending the entire off season learning, you're spending it like being taught and looking towards the future. Whereas, I mean, in the past, I feel like it's always like 75% of the season is trying to look for how you can learn how to do things. And you get just that running start that the previous admin team with that extra week has just been remarkable for you guys.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the first season for new admins is always more about like surviving than doing anything. And then the second season,
that's when they can do something.
You get to do stuff, but you also have to bring along the new admins that come after as well. Try to keep them alive. And,
like I remember our hurdle when we were onboarded. We had one of the shortest off seasons ever. We didn't have a schedule for the rest of the season, and we were doing our new number system in that off season. And I just remember going in. It's like, yeah, we really only got 2 weeks to do this, and Homer's like, well, we're doing a new number system. How do you want to do this? And I was like, well, we really can't go past 3 weeks. And they're like, we can make it work. And then here we are now. Numbers.
It's a miracle that it actually ended up working.
Yeah.
The day of the first combines for season 8, Dibes and I were in a voice call for like 12 hours at least, just fixing all the bugs that happened, because we had a few weeks after, maybe like 6 weeks from the start of the committee until combines, but a lot of it was like we have to meet and discuss stuff, and then we had like 2 weekends essentially to get stuff put together, and it was exhausting. And then combines was exhausting.
And if I remember correctly, that off season, not the first night, but I want to say the second or third night, we tried the short matches.
Yes.
For one of the
that was fun.
Oh my gosh.
I'm proud that we pivoted from it very quickly.
Yes. I'm glad we tried it. Like, it's good to try new things, but like right away we're like, yeah, no, that was terrible.
Yeah. It was a good lesson of like, if you're going to make a change, get people's opinions first on it. And understand that most people are looking for combines to be as close to a regular pug as possible compared to what's best for numbers, like trying to balance what's best for players and what's best for staff. is really important.
Yeah.
I feel like the combine system is so good and it's just so fun too. You can almost
Mhm.
make a whole league off of just that
Yeah.
because people just want to
We
join
we
and
we,
play
d-
like
we got
glorified 10
we
minutes.
got to cap OTs for combines though.
Okay,
That's on our list.
You know,
Did
I
did
get it.
we include that in what we asked Tech for? I don't think we did. I think I need to make
No,
sure
we
we
didn't.
message about that.
Yeah,
Uh,
that is
that's
on our list though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Not as like guaranteed happening, but we
But
are.
it's worth a
discussing
discussion. Yeah.
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 I
That's
respect that.
that's a fun one. I personally love really long combines,
I love OTs.
but I think that they're really bad for data, and they're really bad for the people that don't love long overtimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough to gauge how much of an impact it has for
Yeah.
numbers.
hmm
Because I remember looking into how many games went to overtime, and that's something you can do, but also overtime is different than regular games. So how much effect does that have on a player's rating
True.
or like
Mhm.
their performance in general? And then also like the psychological effect of being in a 60 round game, you know?
The psychological effect. That's one way to put it, and yeah, it
Dude,
sure does affect
see-
someone.
I'm the type
Yeah.
of person that's like, man, I really don't want to play this, but I don't want to lose, so we're going at this right now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. All right. Well, as we're looking to wrap up here on our little chat, I want to open up the floor and see if you guys have any shout outs you want to give here to all 7 people that are still listening at the 50-minute mark in this podcast. Or to anyone who skipped to the end. Hi, happy to have you here.
Oh.
Or any
Um,
message you just want to give the league.
Right. Well, I will say that our entire admin team is so goated. Like we have such a good makeup of different skills and different passions that it's just worked out so well for getting through like the off season learning and kind of onboarding into um, the start of combines. Like I'm super excited to work with everybody on the admin team and uh, excited to get the season started. Um, Shout out to all the ABW people, all my weekly recruit friends. Yeah.
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 Oh, I yeah. I would shout out definitely I am very excited with this current admin team. Maybe it'll go bad because it's a honeymoon period, but I don't think so. Just based on the group, what I know about everybody individually, it feels like we are going to be very active and help each other get through it as well because it is draining. And on top of that, having the previous admin team being willing to help us when they really don't need to is super helpful. Having former admins helping with setting up the handbook, having Freeman take over numbers because that was my biggest worry last season when I decided I was done with numbers was like having to hand that off to somebody else,
Mhm.
not knowing who actually would do it. Um, and yeah, I guess just in general, anybody who like volunteers, it's super cool. Like, and the league wouldn't exist obviously without all of the volunteers, and people put in a ridiculous amount of work that nobody really
Yeah.
understands in a lot of positions. So
Yeah. There's lots of really cool people. You guys are really
Yeah.
cool too. TNoodle.
Aw, so are you.
Yeah. TNoodle,
Yeah, you
you're
guys are
real
cool.
cool for helping me make this podcast. I feel like without you there to be like, we're gonna do it, I would have just faded away again. But we can't let CS
we got to do it.
Conversations
Man.
fade away.
We got to bring it back.
Unfortunately, unlike when this podcast started, we can no longer do the Choco Check segment where we checked in with our favorite North American team.
Oh,
Oh no.
It's okay.
I know.
It's okay.
Homer,
I don't
thought
even
you'd
I
get
don't
that
even
one,
watch
yeah.
Counter Strike, man.
That was
dude.
so. We just looked on HLTV for a random team to follow, and we picked one, and then we were like, "Oh no!" As the time went on, yeah, it was a yikes.
It's tough.
Max and I, we had a lot of great segments.
Yeah.
But now it's a new time. It's a new season. It's season 15. I'm pretty hype. TNoodle, you got anybody you want to shout out?
Oh, lots of people to shout out. But you know what? Shout out to the 3 subcommittee heads for media, because they've been doing a good job doing a lot of cool things
Oh yeah.
this off season so far, and giving us the support to bring this podcast back. And then
Exactly.
yeah, I'm excited to see what they can do with streaming. I'm excited what they can do with these articles, so I can read stuff while I pretend to work. And yeah, it's just a lot of good things across all the committees. And
Yeah. Now we just get to be the old men who yell at clouds on a podcast,
yeah,
which is pretty great, honestly. My shout out is to Ryan Homer for hopping in.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
both
thanks
for
for
taking the
having us.
time. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks to everybody who's listening. This has been CS Conversations, and there's not a real schedule to this, but we're just gonna keep going, keep talking with some awesome people from CSC and spreading the awesome story of this league. So, have a nice day, and we'll see you next time.